In the heart of the countryside, power is not measured by kindness but by acres, money, and arrogance. For decades, Henrique ruled his vast agricultural empire with an iron fist and a cruel tongue. To him, everyone was replaceable. Every worker was just a number and the help was entirely invisible. So I looked that poor fool right in the eyes and said, "If you cannot pay your debts, the land is mine. Business is business, gentlemen. In this world, you are either the predator or the prey, and I have never been the prey. What is this, you useless girl? Do you have any idea how much this tablecloth costs? It is worth more than your entire miserable life of work. You are so incompetent you cannot even pour a glass of wine without making a mess. Get out of my sight right now before I deduct every single penny of this from your starvation wages. Forgive me, sir. It was an accident. I will clean it immediately." But arrogance always leaves a door open. Or in Henrique's case, a drawer. A lifetime of dark secrets, left unlocked after a night of heavy drinking and celebrating his own cruelty. Transfer deeds, bribery receipts, offshore accounts. This is my family's name. This is my father's signature, completely forged. You will not just pay me for a ruined tablecloth, Henrique. You are going to give back every single grain of dirt you stole from my family. Revenge is a dish best served quietly. For weeks, Clara became the perfect ghost in that massive house. Invisible, submissive, and absolutely deadly. While Henrique built castles in the sky and boasted about his wealth to the local politicians, she was busy destroying his foundations from the inside out. Every night while the mansion slept, she was awake. Yes, transfer all the hidden funds to the offshore account tonight. By the time tomorrow's auction begins, I will have bought the entire valley. I will be the undisputed king of this state. Nobody can touch me. Nobody is smart enough to even try. Every secret recorded, every dirty penny tracked. She did not just leak his decades of financial crimes to the press and the federal authorities. She went deeper. Using the passwords he carelessly left on his desk, she locked him out of his own vault. She drained the accounts he thought were untouchable and froze the assets he loved more than life itself. The storm did not come with rain or thunder. It came at dawn, with the blinding flash of red and blue lights and federal warrants. Dozens of agents surrounded the perimeter before the sun even fully crested the horizon. Henrique Silva, you are under arrest for massive fraud, tax evasion, extortion, and money laundering. All your assets, including this property, have been officially frozen by the federal court. You have the right to remain silent. This is a mistake. Get your hands off me. Do you know who I am? I own this town. I have money. I have lawyers. Call the governor. Call my legal team right now. You have nothing, sir. Your accounts are completely empty. Your empire is gone. You, the maid? You were the one serving the wine. What did you do to me? What did you do? I just cleaned up the mess you made, sir, just like you always demanded. You took everything from my father, so I took everything from you. My family's debt is officially paid in full. Enjoy your new home behind bars. Some empires are built on stolen ground, secured by fear and intimidation. But no matter how tall the walls are, it only takes one spark to burn it all down to the ashes. And sometimes that spark wears an apron. But the story did not end the morning Henrique was taken away in handcuffs. The real work was just beginning. The news of his dramatic downfall spread through the valley like wildfire. For years, the people of this town had lived under the heavy shadow of his monopoly. He had bought the local politicians, intimidated the small farmers, and choked the life out of anyone who dared to stand against him. When the federal agents began auditing his properties, they uncovered a labyrinth of corruption so deep it took months just to trace the money. During the trial, Henrique sat in the courtroom, looking like a ghost of the man he used to be. Stripped of his tailored suits and expensive cigars, he was nothing more than an aging, bitter man who finally had to answer for a lifetime of greed. The prosecution presented the red folder. My father's forged signature was projected onto a massive screen for the judge, the jury, and the entire town to see. I sat in the front row, watching his empire crumble piece by piece. He refused to look at me, but I never took my eyes off him. It took a team of federal prosecutors to untangle the mess, but the law was clear. The properties he had acquired through fraud, extortion, and forgery were to be seized and returned to their rightful owners. For many families, it was too late. They had moved away, broken and defeated. But I was still here, and I had the original deeds. Reclaiming the farm was not a simple transition. The fields had been overworked, the soil exhausted by a man who only cared about maximum profit in the shortest amount of time. The machinery was rusted and the workers were deeply untrusting, used to being treated like disposable tools. The first time I walked into the main barn as the legal owner, not wearing an apron but wearing work boots, they looked at me with a mixture of hope and heavy suspicion. I did not give them a speech about a grand new vision. I simply told them that from now on, everyone would be paid a fair wage, and no one would ever be threatened with losing their home again. Month by month, the farm began to breathe again. We shifted away from the aggressive, toxic farming methods Henrique had championed. We started rotating the crops, allowing the land to heal. We brought in local agronomists, people who actually understood the soil of this valley, people Henrique had fired years ago for disagreeing with him. The massive mansion, which had always felt like a cold, empty fortress, was repurposed. We turned the grand dining room, the very room where he used to humiliate his staff, into a community center for the workers and their families. Sometimes I find myself standing in his old office. The dark mahogany furniture is gone, replaced by drafting tables and maps of the valley. But I kept the drawer, the one he left unlocked. I keep it on my desk as a daily reminder that no matter how powerful someone believes they are, arrogance is the heaviest anchor a person can tie around their own neck. I received a letter from the state penitentiary last week. It was from him. He demanded to know how a simple maid had outsmarted a man who had built a multi-million-dollar empire from nothing. He still did not understand. He thought power was about how loudly you could yell, or how much fear you could inflict. He never realized that true power lies in patience. It lies in the quiet spaces, in the shadows, in the people who are forced to watch and listen while serving the coffee. I did not write him back. Silence is the only answer a man like him truly deserves. Today, as I look out over the green horizon, I see more than just crops. I see a legacy restored. I see the exact view my father used to describe to me when I was a little girl, before the greed of one man took it all away. The valley is peaceful now. The tractors hum in the distance, the harvest is plentiful, and the air is clean. We have built something sustainable, something that will outlast all of us, not through intimidation, but through mutual respect and hard work. Justice is rarely swift, and it is almost never easy. But if you have the patience to plant the right seeds and the courage to weather the storm, the harvest will eventually come. This land remembers everything. It remembers the blood, the sweat, and the tears. And now, finally, it knows peace. The transition from a shadow in the corner to the head of the table was not something that happened overnight. For the first few months, I would wake up at dawn, instinctively reaching for my apron, before remembering that those days were gone forever. The ghost of Henrique's regime lingered in the hallways of the mansion. Every time a floorboard creaked or a door slammed in the wind, some of the older workers would still flinch. It takes time to wash away a culture of fear. You cannot simply command people to feel safe. You have to prove it to them day after day. We started by opening the books. Total transparency. Every worker on this farm now knows exactly what we earn, what we spend, and where the profits go. We set up a cooperative system. a profit-sharing model that turned every employee into a partner. The men and women who had broken their backs for Henrique's offshore accounts were suddenly building their own futures. The transformation in their eyes was the greatest victory of all. They stopped working like machines and started working like owners. I also spent a lot of time learning. I had watched Henrique make decisions for years, but observing from the sidelines is very different from steering the ship. I read every agricultural journal I could find, attended seminars in the city, and sat with the elders of our community, who remembered the old ways of farming before the chemical fertilizers poisoned our rivers. We invested in sustainable technology, solar panels for the barns, and advanced irrigation systems that conserved water. We were not just repairing the damage Henrique had done, we were building something entirely new. There were skeptics, of course. The neighboring farm owners, old friends of Henrique, watched us like vultures waiting for a carcass. They thought a former maid running a cooperative would bankrupt the estate within a year. They whispered at the local diners, made bets on our failure, and even tried to block our supply chains. But they severely underestimated the loyalty of people who have finally been given their dignity back. When our delivery trucks were delayed, our workers drove their own vehicles to transport the harvest. When a sudden frost threatened the crops, the entire town showed up at midnight with heaters and blankets to save the fields. We were no longer just a business, we were a family. And the harvest? It was the most abundant this valley had seen in 2 decades. The day we closed our first fiscal year in the green, we did not celebrate with expensive cigars and imported wine behind closed doors. We threw a massive festival in the main pasture. There was music, dancing, and a feast that lasted well into the night. As I stood on the porch of the mansion, watching the children run through the grass and hearing the genuine laughter of the people I had grown to love, I finally felt the heavy knot in my chest untie. My father used to say that a person's worth is not measured by what they take from the world, but by what they leave behind. Henrique took and took until there was nothing left but barren soil and broken spirits. He left a legacy of bitterness that is currently rotting away in a 6x8 concrete cell. But this farm is alive. It is a testament to resilience, a living proof that no matter how deep the rot goes, the roots of justice can always break through the concrete. The apron I used to wear still hangs in the back of my closet. I never threw it away. It serves as my anchor. It reminds me of the invisible women, the silent workers, and the underestimated people who keep this world turning. It reminds me to always listen to the quietest voices in the room, because they are usually the ones paying the most attention. The story of this valley is no longer a tragedy written by a tyrant. It is a triumph, written by all of us. And the best part is we are just getting started.